Hello and welcome to the Environment This Week series section of Drishti IAS. I'm Aisha, and in today's episode we will be covering topics which are important from General Studies paper 3, that is environment and ecology. So the basic idea is that we have taken topics from the current affairs and we will be talking about the static portion of it. So let us first of all see the points of discussion. So we have taken overall 4 topics, and the first is the pseudo-melanistic tiger. Second is COP16, which has just concluded. What are the key takeaways of it? Then coastal zone management plan with regard to Kerala, and last is the expansion of glacial lakes. So let's begin with the first, and that is the melanistic tiger. So this brings to the news tigers. So the news was that the tigers from the Tadoba Andheri Tiger Reserve was transferred to Simlipal Tiger Reserve around 600 kilometers away, and Simlipal Tiger Reserve is famous for the melanistic tigers. Now we will be talking about the melanistic tiger. So first of all, let's talk about tigers. So tiger, the scientific name is Panthera tigris, or is the national animal of India. And if we talk about the subspecies of tiger, so there is the continental tiger Panthera tigris, and the Sunda tiger, that is Panthera tigris sundacea. And then if we talk about the habitat of tiger, so that is tropical rainforest, evergreen forest, temperate forest, mangrove swamps, grasslands and savannas. So these are the tropical areas, or basically the habitat where the tigers are usually found. Now the countries where tiger population is found. So in total, tigers are found in 13 tiger range countries, and these 13 countries are India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Russia, China, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Cambodia, Laos and Vietnam. And Cambodia, Laos and Vietnam, now tigers are not found. Now if we talk about the protection status, very important, then the IUCN Red List, the status is endangered sites. It comes under Appendix 1, and WPA 1972, that is Wildlife Protection Act 1972, it comes under Schedule 1. It means that tiger has been granted the highest protection. Now, few of the threats. First is the habitat loss, industrialization, urbanization, and the animal-human conflict is also increasing. Then poaching for illegal trade and human-wildlife conflict. Now, the conservation efforts. One of the most famous conservation effort was the Project Tiger, which was launched in 1973. Then NTCA, that is the National Tiger Conservation Authority, it was constituted under the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Then comes the T into 2 campaign. It means the doubling of tiger population, and it was a very successful event, and the target year was 2022. Then International Big Cat Alliance, that is IBCA. So it basically works not only for tiger, for the conservation of the 7 big cats, that is namely tiger, lion, leopard, snow leopard, cheetah, jaguar and puma. Now tigers in India, if we talk about, then the largest population, or you can say that India has the largest tiger population. And if we talk about the tiger reserve, then in total India has 55 tiger reserve. And then if we talk about the largest tiger reserve, then it is the Nagarjun Sagar Tiger Reserve in Andhra Pradesh, and the smallest tiger reserve is the Orang Tiger Reserve of Assam. Now let's talk about the melanistic tiger, and why is it called a melanistic tiger. Now melanistic tiger is a type of tiger which is dark in color, or you can say which has broader black strips and it has a black shade. So the rare color variant of the Bengal tiger. And melanism is a genetic condition. So this color change is known as melanism, and it is a genetic condition, and it results in increased melanin production, and this increase of melanin production led to black or nearly black skin, feathers or hair in animals. So it is basically because of the increased melanin that the skin of the tiger turns black. Then excessive development of dark pigment, that is melanin, in the skin and fur. And tigers of Simlipal, they have distinctive lineage with melanin levels. Now look at this image. So you are able to see this is a normal tiger. Now this is a white tiger, golden tiger, white pseudo melanistic. Now the tiger which we are talking about is the pseudo melanistic black tiger. They the fur, or you can say the strips, or the basic color of the tiger is dark in nature, and this is because of the increased level of melanin in tigers. Now the next topic comes, and that is COP16, which has recently concluded in Colombia. And what are the key takeaways of it? So the 16th meeting of the Convention of Biological Diversity, that is CBD, it has recently concluded in Cali, Colombia, and around 190 countries participated in it and talked about the biodiversity conservation. And the primary goal or the primary aim of this meeting was to forward the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, that is KMGBF, and ensure the implementation of key biodiversity targets, and the target year is 2030. Now let us talk about the key goals of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, and the main point was the 30 by 30 agreement. Now what is the 30 by 30 agreement? It talks about the protection of 30% of land and marine area by the year 2030. So basically the term 30 is very important. 30% of land and marine area by the year 2030, conservation of it. Then second is reducing invasive species. Now invasive species means that a species from outside comes into an area and starts reproducing at a very high level and starts harming the local habitat of the native place. Then half the introduction of invasive alien species by 2030 and minimizing their impact. So the target year is 2030 and the target is around 50% of the invasive species will be done. Then addressing pollution. Now aiming to bring pollution levels down to tolerable limits across all sources by the year 2030 as the pollution level is increasing. Now benefit sharing mechanism, and this is for the use of genetic resources and digital sequence information, and it is derived from genetic materials. So basically benefit sharing needs to be done, whatever is coming to people. Then the discussions which took place at COP16, first of all is the inclusion of indigenous communities. Now a subsidiary body was established to include indigenous groups in the biodiversity discussions, recognizing their essential role in conservation efforts, because the local community or the indigenous community, because they remain in so much of close contact with the biodiversity that they have the basic and the traditional knowledge with regard to it. Then digital sequence information agreement, and one of the major topic was benefit sharing. And benefit sharing means that fair ways to share the benefits of products. So whatever benefits have been coming from the products, that need to be shared equally with others also. Then adopted agreements. Now important texts were adopted on issues including the link between biodiversity and climate change, then mainstreaming biodiversity, addressing invasive species, and technical support for Kunming-Montreal Global Framework. Then comes what has India contributed to COP16. So India presented an updated biodiversity action plan with key highlights being budget commitment. Now budget commitment means that India plans to allocate around 81,664 crore for biodiversity and conservation efforts from 2025 to 2030. Then from 2018 to 22, the country spent around 32,207 crores. So the spending in budget has increased. Next is call for international finance. Now target 19 of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, it aims to mobilize $200 billion annually, including $30 billion through international financing. So from outside also international financing needs to be done. Then biodiversity initiatives. So there was establishment of the International Big Cat Alliance, that is IBCA, for the protection of major big cat species, and India has initiated it. Now next comes the Coastal Zone Management Plan, and this came to news with regard to the state Kerala, and the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, it has approved CZMPs, that is Coastal Zone Management Plan, for 10 coastal districts of Kerala. Now what is Coastal Zone Management Plan? So it is a strategic framework designed to manage and regulate human activities in coastal areas. Now coastal areas are areas which are very close to the water body. So how their management will be done and how the human activities will be regulated in that zone. And if you will see the map of Kerala, this is the map of Kerala, then the western side of Kerala is basically, you can say that all the districts comes under the coastal districts. Now what are the key components of coastal zone management plan? First is zoning. Then coastal zone management plan has divided coastal areas into different zones like no development zone, coastal regulation zone, and etc. Then comes the second point, and that is public participation. Now discussions with public to consider the opinion and worries of the local communities, because before making any change, the approval from the local communities also is important, because they are the people who will be most affected by this change. Now the approval of CZMP is a precondition for the states to make the coastal regulation zone notification 2019 applicable. Now if the precondition is taking approval of the people, then it becomes important that the plan which is prescribed needs to be given to them and the permission needs to be taken from them. Now about the coastal regulation zone. So the central government has declared the coastal stretches of the country and the water area up to its territorial water limit, excluding the islands of Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep and the marine areas surrounding these islands as CRZ. So if you will exclude Andaman and Nicobar, exclude Lakshadweep and the marine areas surrounding these islands, then that is coastal regulation zone. Then Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change under the Environment Protection Act of 1986 has issued the first coastal regulation zone notification in the year 1991. Then CRZ was notified in the year 2011, which was further superseded by CRZ in 2019. So further changes has been done. Now let us talk about few of the different zones of coastal regulation zone. So coastal regulation zone 1 is important because coastal regulation zone 1A talks about the ecologically sensitive areas like mangroves, coral or coral reefs. Then coastal regulation zone 1B, it talks about intertidal zone. Intertidal zone means the area between the low tide and the high tide. Then there is coastal regulation zone 2. So coastal regulation zone 2 talks about developed areas up to or close to the shoreline within the existing municipal limits. It means that if this is the coastline, then the whatever be the municipal or the urban limit, then till that limit the area will be under it. Then comes coastal regulation zone 3A. So it is area with population density more than 2161 per square kilometer. So if the population density is more than 2161 per square kilometer, then it comes under CRZ3. And area up to 50 meters from the high tide line, then till the area of 50 meters it will be no development zone. Then comes CRZ3B. So CRZ3A was population density more than 2161 per square kilometer, while CRZ3B is all other coastal regulation zone 3 areas with population density less than 2161. So A was more than 2161, B is less than 2161, and A was area 50 meters from the high tide line, while B is area up to 200 meters from the high tide line. So it is, the difference is basically with regard to the area. Now the last is the expansion of glacial lakes. So recently a report has been given by the Central Water Commission and it highlights expanding Himalayan glacial lakes. So the Himalayan glacial lakes are expanding in nature. Now the expansion of Himalayan glacial lakes is happening due to climate change, and it is posing a risk to community and biodiversity because of increased chances of glacial lake outburst flow. So the floods are basically taking place because of the water which is coming out from the glaciers. So what are the key findings? First is the global glacial lakes expansion. So the Himalayan region witnessed a 10.8% increase in surface area of glacial lakes from 2011 to 2024. So the expansion has been around 10.8%. Then if we talk from India's respect, then with a 34% expansion in surface area, glacial lakes experienced an even more substantial rise. So overall the expansion is 10.8%, but with regard to India, the expansion is 34%. Then high risk lakes. Around 67 lakes in India has witnessed over 40% increase in surface area, placing them under high risk category for potential glacial lake outburst floods. So 67 lakes in India are under the category of high risk. Then transboundary risk. Now there exists transboundary risk of these expanding glacial lakes in Bhutan, Nepal and China, because the mountainous regions are also present in these countries. Now let us talk about the glacial lakes. What are glacial lakes? So they are water bodies which are originating from a glacier, formed when a glacier erodes land and then melts, filling depression created by it. So basically what happens is, when the glacier starts to melt, then a lot of water come downwards in downside. Now if there is any depression in the downside area, then water tend to collect in that depression, and that is how the glacial lakes are created. Then glacial lake outburst flood. Now this is a sudden release of water retained in a glacial lake that can be located in front, at side, underneath, within or top of a glacier, causing large amount of water to flow into nearby rivers. Now imagine that if suddenly the water in a very large quantity will come out from the lakes, then of course the flooding like situation will arise, and that is what happens in the glacial lake outburst flow. And one of the major example is Sikkim glacial lake outburst flow, which took place in 2023, and it was triggered by bursting of South Lonak Lake, and South Lonak Lake was a glacial lake. So this was about the 4 news. Now we will be coming to the practice question of these 4 topics. So how you will give me the answer? So you have to write 1, 2, 3 and 4 and give me the answer of all 4. So first is, among the following tiger reserves, which one has the largest area under critical tiger habitat? And this is also a PYQ of UPSC in the year 2020. Jim Corbett Tiger Reserve, Ranthambore Tiger Reserve, Nagarjuna Sagar Sri Sailam Tiger Reserve, or the Sundarban. Second is, the 16th meeting of the Convention of Biological Diversity took place in Panama, Colombia, Baku or Brazil. Now coming to the third question, which ministry has approved coastal zone management for 10 coastal districts of Kerala? Ministry of Water Resources, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Ministry of Home or Ministry of Agriculture. Now coming on to the last question, Central Water Commission is under which ministry? Ministry of Minority Affairs, Ministry of Home, Ministry of Jal Shakti or none of the above. So these are the 4 questions, and you people will have to give me the answer in the comment section. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Till we meet next time, keep reading, keep writing and keep subscribing to the channel. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.